What is going on, TU crew, and welcome to episode 59 of the Totally Unqualified podcast, otherwise known as the greatest sports podcast out there. And if you don't think so, as of now, we'll get you there. You'll understand. But before we get into everything that we've got going on today, I just want to introduce you guys to the two greatest co-hosts out there in Jake Maltese and Luke Rosenthal. How are we doing today, boys?
I'm doing so good. Just got back from the gym. So if you see me drinking this very conspicuous bottle, it's not alcohol, promise.
Yeah, that's what I got here for.
I wish it was. I wish it was. Yeah. But yeah, I you know what? I can't stand when I go to the gym and there are other people there too. You know, just like stop. Like go somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't like, you know, I can't stand people doing something that I'm doing. You know, it just annoys me. Anyway,
just be out of my way.
Yeah,
no, 100%.
Exactly. It's like
100%.
when I go to a store, it's like when I go to Target on a Saturday. It's like, why do 80,000 people also have to be in Target on a Saturday? Like there are so many other stores. Go there. Don't go here.
Well, my needs are up here. Everybody else's needs are like somewhere down
right down there.
Exactly.
Tell them. Yeah. I hate just when you go to the gym. That's it. When you go to the gym,
that's it. Period.
Yeah. And you're repping the Rock right now. You got the Brahma Bull on the chest.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
You
know, Rock intro the Super Bowl. Got to keep it on brand. That's
good. Yeah. A lot of people didn't like that. I saw. A lot of people thought it was corny.
It was very WWE-ish.
Right.
Oh, you know, I love it. I love it. I can't get enough of the Rock.
I love the Rock, but it was corny. It was corny. I didn't take it like, I wasn't like, oh, that sucks. I was like, that was a little corny, but whatever. You know, you move.
I think it could have been better. I would have been happy with like Bruce Buffer doing it. But the Rock, he was all right. You know, I'm not complaining.
Maybe in Vegas.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it goes to Vegas.
We do have that in a few years, right?
So, is that next year?
No, Arizona next year.
Arizona next year.
Yeah.
Vegas after that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Super Bowl in Vegas. That's going to be rough. We saw what happened with the Pro Bowl in Vegas.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be better than the Pro Bowl.
Oh, imagine the Super Bowl. Shit.
We'll see what happens.
Cross that bridge when we get to it.
But we have some great stuff for you guys today. Obviously, the Super Bowl just happened. The Rams are Super Bowl champions. So we're going to get into that. Of course, we're going to get into some of the players that were involved in that Super Bowl. But before we do that, if you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you would leave a rate and review, that would be fantastic. It helps push the podcast out to more people so we can continue to build this amazing community that you guys have fostered for us. And then if you're watching on YouTube, same kind of thing. Leave a like. Ring that bell so that you know when we post new episodes or whatever else we may have coming out, so on and so forth. And then before we get into the topics themselves, we do have Guess That Player, and I have got it all ready for you guys. I think that this one is a little bit tough. I might stump you. I might end up getting the point here if you can't get it in time, but we'll see what happens. You guys can start asking me questions whenever you're ready, and I'll start the timer.
NFC.
He currently plays in the AFC.
Okay. Did he play in the NFC at any point?
He has, yes.
Okay.
Was he drafted in the last 5 years?
No.
Stephon Diggs?
No.
Okay. Currently, is he a skill position?
He is.
Okay.
AFC East?
No.
Did they make the playoffs?
No.
Okay. Is he on the Browns?
No.
Oh shit. We gotta go, Jake. We gotta go.
AFC South?
Yes.
Okay.
AFC South.
All right.
He
was on an NFC team, is currently on an AFC team.
Is he on the Colts?
No.
Didn't make the playoffs. Oh shit, we got a timer, right? Fuck.
Is it Marvin Jones Jr.?
No.
Is he on the Jags? Is he on the Jags?
No.
He's on the Texans?
Yes.
Texans. Who's on the Texans? Not David Johnson. David Johnson?
Hope it's not Philip Lindsay.
Chris Conley.
Nope.
Is he a wide receiver?
He is a wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Check Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks?
Nope.
Fuck.
I literally have no. Oh, Danny Amendola.
It is Danny Amendola.
Oh, let's go.
What the fuck?
Let's
go. My gosh.
But
was the timer out?
We agreed on a minute, correct?
I think we should get last guess. When timer runs up.
That's true.
Okay.
You can be like, timer up, final guesses.
Okay. I should have done that then. That
Okay.
I will. So we'll give Luke the point. We're still working through this. We're adjusting some
tough.
things for guess that player, making it more interesting. But I will say that
Danny Amendola is some bullshit because nobody remembers him on the Rams. Yeah, okay, he was on the Rams to start his career.
Well,
but
he was also on the Lions before he was on the Texans.
That too. Yeah.
Did you pick Danny Amendola because I picked Philip Lindsay the other week and it was a mess up?
No, I didn't. I was just trying to think of random players, and I don't know why he came to mind for some reason. But
I mean, Super Bowl, he's got some history in there in that game.
True. That was technically in 1 minute and 21 seconds.
Oh, wait. You don't have to give me the point then.
Yeah,
you don't have to give me the point if it was way over like that.
Yeah, it wasn't close, but in the future we will do the final guess once it does get to the end.
That's fair.
But yeah, Danny Amendola, obviously a 2-time Super Bowl champion. We just had the Super Bowl this weekend between the Rams and the Bengals. The Rams come out on top in a pretty interesting game, pretty close. 23-20 is the final score. So Jake, if you want to go ahead and start and just give us your thoughts on this game as a whole. And I mean, if you enjoyed it, if you hated it, whatever the case may be.
I loved it because, as you guys know, I bet $1 on the final score prediction of Rams 23, Bengals 20, and guess what fucking hit? $100 right in the bank right there. If I would have bet $10, so I would have had $1,000. That's all right though. That's okay. Tough. That's okay.
Winning.
But here's the thing. I bet on 4 scores with $1. So one of them hit. Yeah, I'm not about to drop $40 betting, knowing damn well how hard it is to hit a final score prediction. But no, going to the game, I thought, was it the most exciting Super Bowl ever? Was it the most memorable Super Bowl ever? No, I wouldn't say anything like that. I thought it was a good football game. I thought it was a solid football game. It was close at the end. Rams came out on top. Some things that stood out to me, that Bengals offensive line just continues to get, I just like, you have to, I believe they have like 65 mil in cap space going into next season.
Yeah.
They need to spend all of that on the offensive line, along with spending every single draft pick on I want to see the Bengals have 30 offensive linemen going into training camp and just weed out the best ones. Like you need to do what the Kansas City Chiefs did last offseason and, kind of, they flipped their offensive line around real quick in one offseason to be one of the best in the league. So yeah, I'm sorry. If I keep looking, the Rangers have gone through 7 rounds of shootouts with no,
nice.
This never happened. We're up to round 8. This is like ridiculous. But yes, Super Bowl, back to football. Right. No, I think it was a great game. I think Matt Stafford is getting a little too much shit for how he played. He had one interception that completely was not his fault. Skoranek, or whatever the hell his name is, batted the ball up, and you never, if you're going to miss a ball, let it drop to the ground. Don't go for it and risk batting it up. I don't know.
Run through it. Exactly. Don't let it pop up.
Yeah.
Especially in the middle of the field.
Yeah. That's like the worst thing ever. So one of those was completely not Matt Stafford's fault. And then the throw when they could have gotten field goal range. All right. Kind of a punt, but also they could have gotten some points there. So I'll kind of put that one on his shoulders. But both of these teams came out and played really, really well. It sucks what happened to Odell. Bengals came out, seemed like they were a little nervous to start the game, settled down a lot, especially the second half. T. Higgins, 75-yard touchdown or something like that, when he clearly had offensive PI on Jalen Ramsey. I'll talk about the refs a little bit later, but I thought it was a solid game. I think the Rams were definitely the better team on the field, but I do want to say that this Bengals team is not a finished product yet. And this is how far they got. So Bengals fans, I made a TikTok saying this. If you're going to lose a Super Bowl, that's the way to lose a Super Bowl, where you can clearly walk away from a Super Bowl and be like, okay, we know what our issue is. We weren't supposed to get this far. We were right there at the end. We have plenty of cap space to go out and address that issue. Like they have everything falling in line. They have playoff experience. They have plenty of cap space. They know what they got to fix, and they can go into the offseason with more experience and go and address those issues. So good for the Rams for getting their first Super Bowl in like 23 years or so since Kurt Warner, and good for the Bengals for making it this far.
Yeah, but Jake, you know what problem that they have right now that they might not be able to fix by next year?
Eli Apple.
Not putting fucking Joe Mixon in on 3rd down. Like, why is Samaje Perine getting that many snaps in the Super Bowl? In the Super Bowl? All right, third down running back, sure, whatever. But you're telling me you're not putting Joe Mixon on the field on the most important play of the game, 4th and 1.
He was dominating that game too. He was getting some nice runs.
Yeah. Before I get into anything, I do want to say I did a Super Bowl 10 bet with one of my roommates where we made 10 bets. They were all prop bets. I won the coin toss. I won the over on the national anthem. I won the first touchdown. I won the first sack. I won first halftime show, which performer is shown first. I won which receiver is getting the most receiving yards, and then it was a wash for MVP because I picked Matt Stafford, then I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl. So I won some money for the Super Bowl, and it made that Packers loss a lot less. I wasn't thinking about it. Anyway,
money solves all problems.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The Rams are Super Bowl champions. I've been saying for a while now that if they didn't win the Super Bowl this year, I think Sean McVay, I think Les Snead had to go on the hot seat. And you know what? They completely proved me wrong. This is what the result should have been. You go out and you trade for Von Miller. You go out and you acquire OBJ through free agency. These are money moves. And these are win now moves. And this is what Les Snead is all about. This is what the Rams have been all about. Really, the past half decade, they just don't care about draft picks. They care about just production on the field. Why am I keeping a draft pick when I don't know how the player is going to pan out, when I could get a certified just baller of a player in Jalen Ramsey, for instance, for some picks? Might as well. And it completely worked out. It's an awesome way of thinking about it. It's just an all-in mentality. And they're pretty set for the foreseeable future. I mean, barring any crazy retirements that we'll get to later, I think the Rams are set for the foreseeable future, especially if Matthew Stafford continues to play. Like, let me just pause. I think Matthew Stafford got snubbed of the Super Bowl MVP. And I will say that Cooper Kupp was gone for stretches of that game where they were just not throwing it to Cooper Kupp. I don't know who that was on. I don't know if he was just not in the game plan for some reason, but after Odell went out, Cooper Kupp was nowhere to be found for even that whole third quarter. There was a stretch where he just wasn't getting targeted. I know Matthew Stafford had those 2 picks. One of them was pretty much an air punt, but still, you don't want to throw that in that situation, not in the Super Bowl any less. I think Matthew Stafford got snubbed. I will say, I said on our preview episode that if the Rams were down with, a few minutes left and they were down a touchdown, there's no quarterback that you trust more in that situation than Matthew Stafford. And he went out and he absolutely delivered, came down to the wire like that. What are you in about?
I trust Tom Brady more than Matt Stafford in that situation, but that's it. To be fair, that's the only person.
Yeah, but who was watching the game on their couch retired because he couldn't handle the NFL, couldn't handle that.
Matt Stafford retired him.
Exactly.
Couldn't handle the NFL with his 7 Super Bowls, 10 Super Bowl appearances. What a loser.
Yeah. But it was a great game. I thought it was a lot better than I expected. Super Bowl halftime was awesome. And I have no complaints. It was a good night. I made some food. I had a good time.
Yeah, I thought it was great also. Definitely a more fun Super Bowl, I think, than the past couple of years for me personally. I like the matchup. The commercials were kind of for me.
That Coinbase commercial.
Coinbase won it. Coinbase won it.
Did win it.
As a marketing major, I went crazy on that one because I was like, they paid $5 to make that ad, and it was the best one of the night. But
we didn't have any of those typical, the Doritos commercials are typically really good. Yeah. And Budweiser's typically really good. And this year it just wasn't quite as much. Not sure why that was. But as far as the halftime show was the best I've seen in a very long time. The game itself was close, so it was very entertaining. And you're kind of it's going down to the wire. You're wondering who's going to win it all, rather than it being some sort of blowout or one team's getting dominated or anything like that. So I really enjoyed it. As far as the game itself and who came out on top, we've talked about it a bunch of times. I wasn't going to have an issue really either way who won this game, but I am very happy to see Matt Stafford win it. I'm happy to see Aaron Donald get his ring. I'm happy to see Odell get his ring. And like you said, Jake, the Bengals still have time. You know what I mean? They're not a finished product just yet. They can still build. They still have time to get back here and potentially get their rings. So to see these older guys, these guys that have been around for a little while, and these guys that have gone through some hardships in their career come out on top and finally get that Super Bowl and get over that hump and, get that monkey off their back, I think is fantastic. So I loved it.
Yeah, it was amazing. A little bit low scoring for my taste.
Especially
with those two offenses.
What did I say?
You said 23-20. That's what you said.
I did not on this podcast, but in FanDuel, I have the receipts.
Mm-hmm.
But what did I say? Every time you expect an offensive outburst of a game, it's a defensive matchup. And with the Nick Foles, Tom Brady Super Bowl, everybody's like, this game's going to be so low scoring. And it ended up being like 41-37 or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the last episode I said 28-21 or something like that. So I was expecting it to be a little bit lower, just not that low.
Yeah.
Another thing before we move on that I think we have to talk about is a hot button issue right now with all of the officiating in the game. Luke, if you want to go ahead and start off and kind of give your opinion on the officiating throughout this game and your thoughts on just the officiating as a whole, really going forward.
It's a shame that it had to come down to the end like that, where they would just throw their flags seemingly every play. A lot of those weren't penalties. That Logan Wilson, what was it? It was a pass interference or was it holding? I think it was PI.
They called it PI.
It was PI. Yeah, that was incorrect. Just there's no other way you could put it. Devondre Campbell actually put out a good tweet saying that the only reason the flag got thrown was because he was a linebacker covering a wide receiver. And that was literally the only reason why. Not that he was playing good defense, not that he's been playing good defense literally the entire season, especially in these situations in the red zone. No, it's because he's a linebacker. And, oh no, Cooper Kupp's supposed to win that matchup 100%. Let me throw the flag, even though he wasn't held. I will say they did make up for that missed face mask call on Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey had a pretty up and down evening. I'll get to that in a little bit, but that should have been called. That T. Higgins was 75-yard touchdown was the longest reception that Jalen Ramsey's ever led up in his career. He also got burnt by Jamar Chase, where Jamar Chase just has the hands of a god. I mean, I don't know how he caught that, like fell down and then got back up right away. And then got tackled, but damn, it was talent everywhere. But it's just a shame that it had to come to that, because other than those that one missed call, and then I think just those calls at the end, I thought it was a perfect game. That's the way that the Super Bowl especially should be played, is let the players play. Don't let the refs dictate the game. Don't let the refs have any outcome over this game, the most important in all of American sports. And it just sucks that it had to come down to that. They made the wrong calls and they missed some big calls that they should have made. Up and down night for the refs, but you see what the fans want is those games where there's not a lot of penalties, there's not a lot of flags going out, and you want that in the Super Bowl. It sucks that it came that a lot. Don't make the fans can't say that they lost because of the refs. Fans cannot say that they lost because of the refs. That's absolutely not. But still, in the grand scheme of things, got to do better.
Yeah, the outburst of, first of all, in every Super Bowl ever played, if it's not a blowout, fans, if you go on Twitter, it's going to be fans being like, oh, refs won it for you, refs bailed you out. It's like, no, okay, you need to still play well, which like the Bengals did. But here's the thing. You're never supposed to have makeup calls. Like, makeup calls are not supposed to be a thing, right? But you can still say like, hey, Bengals got away with one and got a touchdown. Rams got away with one and got a touchdown. What happened in between? Everybody's going to say, the Eli Apple Cooper Kupp call that also got them first down, I believe, right? That was another one in the corner of the end zone. There was another call.
Yeah.
That was pass interference. Like, Eli Apple was clearly holding him back. Like that. There's no debate there. That was a good call. The Logan Wilson call, absolute bullshit. The non-call on T. Higgins, absolute bullshit. So from where I stand, there were two absolute bullshit calls that resulted in touchdowns for both teams. Therefore, they cancel out. And therefore, Rams won the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know how people are saying that the refs won this game when Eli Apple clearly interfered with Cooper Kupp on that one play, that other play in the end zone, and the other calls were offsetting penalties. So it didn't even count. So I think the officiating argument is getting a little overblown with this Super Bowl. I didn't really see a problem with it. I thought the refs, I liked how they kept the flags in their pockets for most of the game.
Yeah.
I like how, yes, there was one call at the end of the game that shouldn't have been called. There's also, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to have an onslaught of yellow flags at some point in a game. You're never going to go a game without that. It just happened to be at the end there. But again, I don't think it really affected the outcome because both teams kind of got those calls. So yeah, listen, Bengals fans, you did not lose because the refs. You did it. Okay. I do want to point out I did have Van Jefferson and a Rams money line parlay. So Van Jefferson anytime touchdown and Rams winning, and who did Matt Stafford miss wide open in the end zone on one of the first plays in the red zone? Van Jefferson. So I could have won even more money. I was pissed because that. But I digress. But yeah, I don't think the officiating argument is as valid as people are, screaming off the rooftops that it is.
Yeah, I can definitely understand people's frustration with everything. Yeah. And I think that the biggest thing for me personally is just consistency. Yeah. I want to see the calls happen on a more consistent basis. I think things as blatant as Jalen Ramsey's face mask should be called, but I think things as like, not a penalty, not even really close to it, or something that's just kind of, you could really go either way with it. Like the Logan Wilson thing, I think is ridiculous. And there's no reason that it should be getting called that late in the game. I agree. I like that they let them play football for a lot of the game. I think unless there's something as blatant as the face mask, that just leave it alone, let them play the game. So I can understand where a lot of fans are coming from with it. I can understand the frustration, but it is getting blown out of proportion. This wasn't to an extent where it's like, oh, this completely decided the game, or they screwed us, or anything is rigged, or anything like that. I mean, I'm a Saints fan. I watched the PI myself, but even beyond that, we still went into overtime. We still threw an interception, so on and so forth. I mean, still an absolutely horrendous call, but we still had a chance to win the game. So I think that it sucks. It needs to be worked on, but it's not absolutely horrible or to the point that it is ruining the game of football, especially the Super Bowl.
You saw the flashes of good and the flashes of bad in this game.
100%.
That's what it is.
We have a lot of hills and valleys right now with officiating, and I think that we need to flatten that, and we'll be in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's ever going to be perfect, because it's human error. Like, it's human error. Listen, nobody screaming on the internet would do any better of a job officiating an NFL game. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. Like, those guys are
Fail Mary.
Yeah. Fail Mary. Those were the replacement refs. Those were the replacement refs, which actually proves my point even more, because those were guys off their couches trying to officiate an NFL game, and they couldn't do it. So that proves my point even more. So yeah, like listen, these guys are actually have some balls to be officiating an NFL game. They know the death threats that they get on a weekly basis for just making a mistake. You ever made a mistake in your job? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the refs get a little too much hatred sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes it's deserved. Like, I think they should have press conferences after the game to be like, oh, this is what I saw here. This is what I saw here. And if you made a mistake, admit it. Be like, yeah, okay. After, end a game, I look back. Okay, that was a bad call. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. I just think no matter what, everybody makes mistakes, and you're never going to have a perfect referee besides Ed Hockley.
Hire the refs full time. The NFL hires the refs full time.
I agree.
And how about let's fine them when they make big mistakes like this?
That's fair. That's a fair point. Yes.
Yeah. Just like we would fine the player for, committing a penalty, a face mask, or an unnecessary roughness. Let's fine the refs if they miss a call, if they make a call that they shouldn't have. Like, I think that's fair.
An egregious mistake.
Yeah, I can agree with that. For every little thing, definitely not.
Oh,
totally blatant. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, like a 75-yard touchdown in the Super Bowl. There's a blatant face mask that Jalen Ramsey goes flying ridiculous. 5 yards forward. Like, that's but I digress.
For sure. Yeah. So for the Super Bowl, we had a mega pool through overtime where we were giving away a $300 SeatGeek gift card. So shout out to you guys if you participated in that. It was amazing. Thank you to everybody that was part of it. But I mean, even though the NFL season is over, there are plenty of things still to use that on, whether it be NBA games, concerts, whatever the case may be. So if you don't have the Overtime app, they still have other things going on as well where you could potentially win some prizes, whether it be NBA pools or whatever the case may be. So definitely be sure to download that. They are an awesome partner that we have, and we are super, super appreciative of them. So check it out at the link in any of our bios.
Yeah, and shout out Peyton for winning this week's prize.
Yes,
the big
Peyton.
one.
Peyton
Let's
Manning.
go.
Woo! Peyton Manning was in our pool.
I don't think Peyton Manning needs it.
No, I think
throwing that out there.
you don't know. We don't know. It wasn't Peyton Manning.
I mean, he did just get a
Yeah.
bag with Eli to continue their show for the next couple
There
of
you
years.
go.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
At the same time, the rich stay rich by not blowing all their money. So, I mean, maybe Peyton made a business decision. He was like, I need that $300. And that's what happened here.
Yeah. Because Peyton can't get into any sporting event for free.
Definitely not. Yeah. As a Hall of Famer, he doesn't get in anywhere, right?
Yeah, no,
definitely not.
No, of course not.
And speaking of Hall of Fame quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen, there has been a lot of talk around this Super Bowl winning quarterback, Matthew Stafford, and whether or not he is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, Jake, I'm going to start with you. We've had a lot of talk. Richard Sherman sounding off about this, and we've got the stats here. I'll go ahead and list them off real quick before we get started, just so that people know. Obviously, a one-time Super Bowl champion now. Mm-hmm. He's 12th all-time in passing yards, 12th all-time in passing touchdowns, 11th all-time in completions, 4th all-time in yards per game among quarterbacks that are eligible for that, a one-time Pro Bowler, and a one-time comeback player of the year. So, Jake, is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, that one-time Pro Bowler is a little bullshit there, but probably because he was just on Lions. Yeah, but at this point, if he was if he was to retire right now, no, I do not believe he's a Hall of Famer. But he's not retiring right now. He has the entire rest of his career to play. What is he, 33? Okay, guys are playing into their 40s now. Like, and Matt Stafford doesn't show any signs of slowing down. If anything, he got better this year because now he's with the wonderkind in Sean McVay, who's going to make him even better. So he's still got a little Detroit in him. Like we saw it throughout the year, the plays,
17
even on the
interceptions.
Yeah, exactly. And which, by the way, the fact that 17 interceptions leads the league now, when that was like the norm, like 15 years ago, is like, and people are like being like, oh my God, he threw 17 interceptions. Like that was normal. That was great. Like 15 years ago, I was like, all right, yeah, pretty much every quarterback's throwing 17 interceptions, but yeah, he's not one now. But if he continues on this career trajectory, I think this team, if Aaron Donald does not retire, which we will get to later, this team is still set up to win another Super Bowl. I believe they have next year, they're still in that Super Bowl window. The year after that, probably still in that Super Bowl window. After that, then it gets a little foggy, but this team can still go there and win it again. This team is set up to do that. So Matt Stafford's career is not over. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer now, but at the end of his career, he's put himself in amazing position to be first ballot, even at the end of his career. If he wins another one, gets a Super Bowl MVP, gets some Pro Bowls in there, I think there's no doubt in my mind that Matt Stafford will be a Hall of Famer at the end of his career. Right now, I don't think he is, though.
I think a valid argument could be made for both sides. I think Richard Sherman, what he was saying, it made sense. It made sense because when you look at the quarterbacks of this past decade who actually, had first team all pros, you're only talking about guys like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Like that's it. That's it. First team all pro. And you're competing in that. And I understand it to an extent. Like if those guys are first ballot Hall of Famers, it's obvious you don't even have to think twice about it. How can you say the same about Matthew Stafford when he has nowhere near the accolades? I think that's a very valid argument. I'd say for right now, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer as we speak, but that doesn't mean I don't think he's knocking on the door, because I think he is, especially after the Super Bowl win. He's, like you said, Jake, the trajectory that he's on is leading me to believe that he probably will be a Hall of Famer at the end of his career. Like right now, he's 12th all time in passing yards, 12th all time passing touchdowns, 11th all time completions. He's probably going to be in the top 10 by like next season, and in probably all three of those categories. So can you not put a top 10 in those categories in the Hall of Fame? I feel like you have to. I mean, we're talking all time, and I know we're in a past happy era of the NFL, but still, that's history book stuff. I went by this notion that if you can't tell the story of the NFL without that player, then they're not Hall of Famer. Can you tell the story of the NFL with without Matthew Stafford?
You can't now. You want to?
I don't. Yeah, I don't think
he's etched in history. Yeah,
I think just up until recently, he did exactly what Tom Brady did last year. Not to compare the two, but it is still very impressive just winning a Super Bowl in your first year. So I don't think he's Hall of Famer right now as we speak. I don't think he's putting on a gold jacket. I definitely don't think he's first ballot. But will he get there? Probably. Would the Super Bowl MVP, would that have helped him out a lot, helped out his case? I think so. And I think he really got snubbed, guys. I really do. And I will die on that hill. I know a lot of people were saying Aaron Donald should have won it. Even Von Miller had,
Von
Miller
was a force.
Jeez. He has the 2 highest pass rush grades out of like any pass rusher in Super Bowl history. Like,
Von Miller looked like Super Bowl 50 Von Miller in that game.
Yeah.
Like he was dominating.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I hate him wearing number 40 though. That's such an ugly number. Such an ugly number. Who picks 40?
I personally think that Matt Stafford wasn't necessarily snubbed just because of the interceptions mostly. And I know that one of those wasn't really his fault. The other one, you could say that. I do want to say also with that first interception where it was basically a punt, he was throwing it deep, trying to get in the end zone. Yeah. Jesse Bates also made a great play there. He recovered very well on that play, and that was a great interception by him.
Yes.
But as far as the Hall of Fame conversation, I totally agree with you guys right now. Definitely not. And I think that while there is the potential for him to be a Hall of Famer over the course of, whatever's remaining of his career, I almost kind of feel like it's slim at this point, just because of the sheer amount of talent that we have in the league right now and him not having any accolades. I mean, a one-time Pro Bowler, no All Pros to his name whatsoever. So go ahead, Jake. What do you have to say?
I have a counter for this.
Okay.
I'm gonna list off some accolades for a random quarterback that will be in the Hall of Fame. Okay. He's not yet, but he will be. 2-time Super Bowl champion, no Super Bowl MVPs, no NFL MVPs, no All Pros, second team or first team, 6-time Pro Bowler. That's Ben Roethlisberger. And he will be in the Hall of Fame. No All Pros, 6 Pro Bowls, no Super Bowl MVPs, no NFL MVPs.
Even the 6 Pro Bowls, though, I feel like
no, but I think there's room for Matt Stafford to go and get. Eli Manning has 4 Pro Bowls, and he's won 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He's won 2 Super Bowls, so like, there's room for Matt. I think Matt Stafford will make a couple Pro Bowls if he stays with the Rams. I don't think that's crazy. I think he'll make a couple going forward. So I don't think it'll crazy, stay at 1.
But I do think it's gonna be really hard, just because. If it weren't for so many of the young quarterbacks in the league right now that are just uber talented, I mean, we've gushed about them all season long. I think that I'd be like, Matt Stafford is a shoo-in for sure. Like, he could definitely get there. And I'm not saying that he can't, but to see him getting a few more Pro Bowls, to see him, and I like Luke said, I think that not getting that Super Bowl MVP definitely also hurts him. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I love Matt Stafford. I would love to see him get in, but as far as right now, he's not a Hall of Famer. And as far as for the future, I definitely think it is going to be a tough bid.
I think the biggest stat against Matt Stafford not being a Hall of Famer is a career 86-95-1 record. And I know that he was on the Lions for all that time, but you're playing the most important position in all of sports. Yeah. So some of that has to reflect on you. You're quite literally the leader of those teams. I think that's looked at as well.
He got to the playoffs 3 times with the Lions. That should be in the fucking
0
rafters.
wins.
That's I know, but like, he got to the playoffs 3 times with the Lions. Like, that's fucking impressive in itself. And like, I get it. No playoff wins, but like, I don't know. I just think Matt Stafford was put in a very poor position for his entire career. He really was. 100%. And I get the argument that a lot is put on the quarterback position. Like, if you want to get in the Hall of Fame and if you want to get in with little accolades, you need to be a Dan Marino. You need to be like one of those guys that's like, okay, Dan Marino didn't win the Super Bowl, but of course he's a Hall of Famer. He's fucking Dan Marino. Like, that's, I think if Matt Stafford wins another one, I think he's definitely in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he has a chance of being first ballot no matter what he does. Unless he just goes on a tear and wins like 2 or 3 Super Bowls from now on. But
I mean, we're talking multiple Super Bowls, MVP, All Pros, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a shot at him getting first ballot. I think that's out the window. But if he's on the ballot for 5, 6, 7 years, and like that 7th year, they're like, you know what, this is a weak quarter. Like, we don't have a really good quarterback in this class. Matt Stafford, I think he gets in. I think he will, because he's going to be top 10 in passing yards by the end of his career if he's 12th already. So he's going to be top 10 in a few stats by the end of his career.
He has seasons of 20, 17, 19, another 17, 16 interception seasons. And arguably the best season that the Lions had, he only had 22 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and that was in 2014, where the Lions were carried by the number 1 defense in the league, which wild to say. That was when they had
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Also one of the very few quarterbacks in NFL history to throw for 5,000 yards.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. That's why this is such an interesting discussion, because he has some high highs, but there are also some low lows in there. And I think one of the things that also very much hurts Matthew Stafford is that everybody wants to talk about how, well, he was on the Lions for so long. Matthew Stafford had ample opportunity to leave the Lions at multiple points in his career and opted to stay. And loyalty is it's a fantastic trait to have. And I understand him wanting to stick around and try to win some for the franchise. But I mean, as soon as he leaves, you see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
Super Bowl.
I don't know if you can necessarily use that argument for him being in the Hall of Fame, though, his loyalty there.
We'll see.
I'm not saying that gives him any Hall of Fame credit or anything like that. I'm actually using it against him. I'm saying that him sticking around for all that time, it really hurt him. Yeah. I think if he left earlier, he could have these accolades or look a lot better throughout the course of his career.
I'm going to give you a scenario, and you tell me if he gets in with this scenario. For the rest of his career, he doesn't win another Super Bowl. He does win an NFL MVP, and he gets 3 more Pro Bowls. Is he in?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the MVP definitely holds enough weight that he could. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's doable. He's on a team where he could win, like Odell, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp next. Odell's resigning. Like, let's not kid ourselves. He's going to resign.
Yeah. The ACL is going to be tough. But I think they want to retain him.
Let me bring up another argument. Other than this year, and it doesn't matter because maybe you thought this way because they weren't winning, but have you ever heard Matthew Stafford's name in a top 10 quarterback conversation before this season?
I have.
On the Lions.
2011, yeah. 2005,000 yards.
That was over a decade ago, though.
2015, 4,200 yards, 32 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That was a good year. I would think I have.
I have a very hard time with people that say Matthew Stafford got good this year or Matthew Stafford became elite this year.
Yeah, no.
He has been in the league since 2009. If you think that he just got good, then I don't know what to tell you. The no-look passes and stuff, everybody's ranting and raving about this no-look pass from the Super Bowl. He has been doing things like that. Yeah. But the Lions are just abysmal and have not put the pieces around him to continue to be successful. He's had Calvin Johnson and guys like that, and he's performed, well with those guys specifically. But outside of that, he's had, next to nothing.
Can you be a top 10 quarterback on like a bad team though? Which I think you can. Look at Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was regarded as top 5 on a bad team. Like Matthew Stafford has been on a bad team for a majority of his career and has never been even looked at in the same regard as a guy like Deshaun Watson, who's only had a few like great seasons.
But I think you're talking about a guy, Deshaun Watson last year, who was regarded as like top 5. Like we're talking about number 3, number 4 in the league last season on a bad team. We're looking at a guy like Russell Wilson, who this year wasn't on a great team, and I still regard him as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think that Matthew Stafford could very well be a top 10 quarterback in the league, but I don't think that he is at that elite level where he is going to be one of the best in the league on a bad team.
And like he's had some year, 2011, when he threw 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, he didn't make the Pro Bowl. He should have made the Pro Bowl. All right. Yeah. Well, this year, 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, damn near 5,000 yards. Like, okay, the interceptions hurt him, but like that's if Mac Jones is making the Pro Bowl, Matt Stafford can make the Pro Bowl with those stats.
Yeah, for a good bit of the year, we talked about Matthew Stafford as a potential MVP candidate. Yeah. We did. Yeah. So to think that he couldn't do that down the line, I wouldn't say that. I think that MVP could be in his future if he continues to play at a high level. He's got to clean up the interceptions and stuff like that.
But here's the thing. Like, I think we're getting spoiled with quarterbacks and how careful they are nowadays, but how good because like gunslingers always threw intercept. Like like if it was a gunslinger, like Brett, like if it was a gunslinger, you didn't even look at the interception stat. It was like, all right, he's going to throw those. What is he doing with the yardage and the touchdowns? It's like Matt Stafford. That's what he is. He's a gunslinger. He's always going to throw multiple double-digit interceptions. Brett Favre always did it. Josh Allen's going to have some ugly interception years. Like, let's be honest here. Like, it doesn't.
I mean, Mahomes
I don't think
threw quite a bit this year.
Yeah, like it's going to happen with the guys that are like this, to have this crazy arm and just think they can fit it in these places. Like it.
But
I think that's getting.
This year, has he ever had success by being a gunslinger? Has he had success?
Yeah. Yes. The year he got injured in 2019. He had played 8 games. He had 2,500 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions at that point. So that was on par to be probably his best year. 5,000 yards, 41 touchdowns, 16 interceptions when you attempted 663 throws. That's not bad.
Pretty solid. Yeah.
That's pretty damn good. 727 attempts. That's 17 interceptions.
That is the second most attempts in a season in NFL history, by the way. First is Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady this year, right?
Where he threw quite a few interceptions.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just bound to happen.
Yeah.
And this is why I wanted to talk about this, because I do think it's a very interesting discussion. And when you get into like Hall of Fame and that kind of stuff, because as a Saints fan, I mean, I've heard people talk about Drew Brees not being first ballot because he's only got 1 All-Pro, which is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Get out of here.
Look at the completion percentage. Just look at the top 10 completion percentage seasons of all time. Look at the top 10 passing yard seasons of all time. Like 9 of them are Drew Brees and all his statistics.
Do you guys think that you can use the argument that he was the quarterback for 2 of the greatest wide receiver seasons, the 2 greatest wide receiver seasons of all time? Can you use that as an argument for him being in the Hall of Fame?
I think you could. I think you could. Like, I mean, it's kind of the reason why you can directly compare. Like, people are saying you can't compare Cooper Kupp's season to Calvin Johnson's season. Well, no, I can actually directly compare it because they had the same quarterback. 100%. So, I think it holds up.
And not taking anything away from like Cooper Kupp in the season he had, because he's an amazing wide receiver. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he only had 1,000 yard season prior to this year with Matthew Stafford.
With Jared Goff.
With Jared Goff. Yes. Yeah. But and again, I'm not taking anything away from him, but just saying that he absolutely exploded this year with Matthew Stafford. It wasn't a gradual increase. He went from, he didn't play the full season last year, but he went from a 900 yard season straight into one of the best wide receiver seasons we've ever seen. So I think that Matthew Stafford definitely deserves some credit for that.
I will say, moving forward, Cooper Kupp benefits so much from Odell Beckham Jr. and Robert Woods. It's ridiculous. You saw in the Super Bowl how he wasn't able to generate anything because all of the coverage was going towards him because they didn't have a second guy.
But like, how do you not like go into and just focus your coverage on Cooper Kupp? Because like as talented as Odell is, as talented as Robert Woods is, Matthew Stafford has the best connection with Cooper Kupp. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the Wes Welker argument. Why did Wes Welker get all those yards? Because nobody wanted to pay attention to him. Meanwhile, he was getting 150 yards on a game by game basis. Because everybody's like, don't worry about the small white guy. No, worry about him. You're like, everybody's wondering why everybody's pissed that they're putting up all these yards. Fucking stop them. Like, stop being like, oh, he's not the fastest, All right, he's high motor guy, all those. Yeah, he puts in a lot, the white guy,
Could you imagine
biases.
Cooper Kupp on the Patriots? Could you imagine Cooper Kupp on the
when
Patriots?
Tom Brady was in his prime?
Dude, he'd have a 4,000 yard season.
Shit.
He'd have a 4,000 receiving yard season.
Crazy.
I think, and to your point about that with the Super Bowl and Cooper Kupp kind of disappearing there for a little while, I think that was directly after Odell got hurt, though.
Yep.
And I think that they made adjustments, and that's why he came back out and looked fantastic after they kind of figured some things out. And I mean, he put the game on ice, really.
Yeah.
So there was an adjustment period, and I think that he does obviously benefit a ton from Odell, but you need that. I mean, you need that in any wide receiver core.
It sucks because everybody knows Odell was going to dominate that Super Bowl, man. Odell, that's the first time I've seen Odell, like throughout this playoffs, look like Giants Odell.
Look like electric.
That was prime Odell Beckham Jr. right there.
I think that he would have
got
won
robbed of it again.
I think he would have won Super Bowl MVP.
I agree. I think he would have too. I think the Rams clearly had their game plan set for that to be Odell's day. Like that was an Odell game. And it sucks what happened. But good thing people are saying, oh yeah, he won the Super Bowl on the bench. He got 50 yards and a touchdown. He literally directly contributed to the Super Bowl championship. So I don't want to fucking hear that.
It's not like it was a blowout where everybody was scoring. This was a one-score game, a 3-point game where he put up a touchdown.
Yep.
So I mean, heavy contribution from Odell.
Yeah.
So don't try to take any of that away from him.
Exactly.
Heavy
bullshit. Yeah.
But we talked a lot about the guys on offense in this game. There is one guy on defense that we 100% have to discuss, especially with a lot of news swirling around him right now. And that is, I think, pretty much the consensus best player in the league for several years now, in one Mr. Aaron Donald. There are talks of him potentially retiring after winning the Super Bowl. Now a Super Bowl champion, one of the best to ever do it. So we'll start with that before we get into some other stuff. So Jake, if you want to give your thoughts on Aaron Donald, his legacy, and, you know, what it looks like if he retires here.
Yeah. I mean, it just came kind of out of the blue. It was so weird. Like I just got the notification that Rodney Harrison reported that, you know, if Aaron Donald apparently talked to him, been like, yeah, I'm considering it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if he'll do it. I think it was just a matter of the exhaustion of getting so far and never getting it. Like, I think that was taking a toll on him. So now that he finally won it, what is he, 30? What is he, 30?
Yep,
he's got
30.
Yeah. Oh, man, he's too young. He's too young.
Yeah.
But then again, like we were talking about, if Matt Stafford retired, now he's not a Hall of Famer. Aaron Donald retires, now he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like
100%.
there's no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of selfish of me to say this, but I need to see how his career plays out. Like I got to see him play. I have no question he'd be doing this shit at 34, 35.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's so good. He's so good. And I selfishly want to see him have that 15, 16, 17 year career where we can see just how great this guy can be, because JJ Watt was on this trajectory. JJ Watt was on this same trajectory as Aaron Donald. Like people forget JJ Watt was talked about in the same light as Aaron Donald is talked about right now. Is like, how the fuck are you going to stop JJ Watt? You got to put 3 people on JJ Watt. A 75% JJ Watt is getting double teamed still in the NFL. Like this is like, so I want to see how his career plays out, and I hope he doesn't retire, but it's not our decision. And if he believes that, you know, for his health, for his, you know, spend some time with his family, if he believes that's the right decision for him, I can't knock him. He already put up a Hall of Fame career on the stat sheet. Yeah.
And he made a bag in doing so. Gage, you said he's regarded as the best player in the league over the past couple of years. I know a guy named Aaron that's won back-to-back MVPs, and now they're both better retire. So
that's whole argument about defensive players not getting their flowers on the last episode, and here we are.
You know, it has to be at least once an episode.
Yeah.
You look at the prime of Lawrence Taylor's career, or I'd argue his prime really started, I mean, his rookie year, then he sort of fell off. I'd say like the last 3 seasons, age and injuries started, you know, catching up with him.
And cocaine.
So yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't going to go there, but so I'd say you look at his prime, it's about 9-10 years for Lawrence Taylor, and Aaron Donald is starting to get to that time. I mean, he was drafted out of Pitt in 2014. So he's going into year 9 next year. If I could do math correct. Yeah, that seems about right. 9. So is he starting to wind down? I know we have modern technology, which makes just everything so much better in terms of players getting injured a lot less often. But I think his resume is complete. I mean, his resume is complete. I think the only thing he's chasing is Lawrence Taylor, and I think he's right on pace with him. I think maybe another ring would do him well. Maybe just a few more seasons of like really great production, maybe 10 sacks, double-digit sacks, I think, to really put him over the edge. But right now I'm thinking he's just playing for legacy. He already got it done. He already, you know, showed that he's the best defensive player over the past decade, just best. I mean, you could argue some other players. Jalen Ramsey's definitely up there, but he didn't look good. It came out of the blue, like you said, Jake. I don't think he's retiring. Like, I don't think he's retiring. And like you said, I don't know if that's selfish of me for not thinking that, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, at least get on a Madden cover or something before you retire. That might go to Cooper Kupp now, or maybe Joe Burrow. Who knows?
Honestly, Joe Burrow would probably get
There's a lot of people. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah,
Jonathan Taylor
Joe
could go
Burrow.
to.
Joe Burrow. Okay, that's just you. But Joe Burrow.
I could
Josh Allen.
I could see Cooper Kupp
get it, yeah.
contest it. Yeah, Joe Burrow. I think they're definitely the.
I mean,
top
even Aaron Rodgers,
Matt Stafford. They could do like a collab. They could do just like a Rams cover with Odell, Matt Stafford, and Aaron Donald. They could do that.
They could do Patrick Mahomes, Jackson Mahomes.
Oh yes, and Brittany, the Mahomes.
Yeah, Brittany.
Gang. Yes,
Brittany has to have her champagne, and she has to be, getting it on a fan on the cover.
You know what? I think that would be good because then Madden would find people saying they're going to boycott Madden would actually boycott Madden, and they would get better. I think that would improve the game dramatically. Actually, if they put the Mahomes crew on the cover. Yeah, get on that. That's something I want to see.
But yeah, Aaron Donald, I think, fantastic player. And I agree. I think that his resume, if he'd like it to be, is 100% complete. Mm-hmm. He's done everything that he set out to do. He has an amazing legacy. First ballot Hall of Famer with ease. It's crazy. I want to see more out of him because he is one of the best players we have ever seen, let alone one of the best players of, the last decade or whatever. And he's got a all 2010s team to his name already. So
it basically guarantees a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
All decade team.
If you 100%. If you make an all decade team, I mean, you're up there unless you're Leroy Butler and you have to wait for fucking ever for
have to wait another fucking decade.
But that's a story for another day.
Who's the real AD of LA? Sorry to cut you off, Gage. Anthony Davis or Aaron Donald?
Oh, it's Aaron Donald. It's Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
When you say AD, you're thinking Aaron Donald first, or you're thinking Anthony Davis? Because I'm still thinking Anthony Davis.
I think that the Lakers are bigger in LA right now because they've been around forever and they didn't leave and so on and so forth. But I think that Aaron Donald is a bigger name personally.
Yes.
Okay.
I hope. I don't know why LA. I mean, this could just be my East Coast, bias from 3,000 miles away, but it doesn't seem like the Rams have they have passionate fans. Like they do. It's
not a football market.
It's not a football, but it's a market that deserved a football team.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
I think that it would be though. I think that it would be a football market if they didn't leave and go to St. Louis.
Yes, I would agree.
For the time that they did, because I saw a video not long ago on TikTok, I believe, where they were going around LA asking, people how long they've been a Rams fan and stuff like that. And so many people were saying since they came back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think if they stuck around for all that time, they would definitely have a much larger fan base. And I think that it'll continue to grow, especially after, they just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, all the more reason to hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Could you imagine if the greatest show on turf happened in LA? If Kurt Warner happened in LA, that story, he finally got a movie. If his season happened while they were still in LA, he would have gotten a movie the next season.
A long time ago.
Yeah. So that would have been awesome.
Yeah. I want to go back to the Aaron Donald versus Lawrence Taylor conversation a little bit because it's something that's been talked about, I feel like, for a few years now. Especially because, same amount of Defensive Player of the Year awards. And I feel like the thing that, I'll start with this before we get into the conversation itself. Do you guys feel like Aaron Donald is on the level or better than Lawrence Taylor at this point?
He's on the level.
Yeah, he's on the level.
He's on the level. He's not.
You can't definitively say he's over Lawrence Taylor, whereas you can make more cases for as to why Lawrence Taylor is above him. I don't think there's that one definitive thing. 3 Defensive Player of the Year, sure. Maybe a ring, maybe a Super Bowl MVP.
Lawrence Taylor got an NFL MVP.
That's why I'm saying.
Holy shit! Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm not usually one to be like, the era or whatever the case may be, but I feel like in that time, defense was valued a lot more than what it tends to be now.
Mm-hmm.
And Lawrence Taylor won. Now this is before a lot of stats were tracked, tackles for loss and forced fumbles and stuff like that. So we don't have that stuff to go by. But in the season that Lawrence Taylor won MVP, he had 20 and a half sacks. Now, Aaron
Aaron
Donald
Donald did that
just a few years ago had 20 and a half sacks. And from the defensive tackle position, that is not easy to accumulate.
No.
On top of leading the league in tackles for loss with 25. And he did win Defensive Player of the Year, but didn't receive an MVP vote, let alone win MVP with those kind of numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
sounds like Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I roll. But I would agree.
Always got to bring it up.
I think it's too hard to make an argument for Aaron Donald over Lawrence Taylor, but I would say they're pretty much equal in my mind, just because I can't take the MVP away.
Yes. And I think people need to remember, like, it should be Aaron Donald versus Alan Page, because Alan Page is right now probably the greatest. He got 18 sacks. Like, he was doing this in the 70s. Like, he got 18 sacks in the season, 13 sacks, 11 and a half sacks. Like, this guy was getting double-digit sacks. He has an NFL MVP. He finished third in MVP voting another year. Like, this guy was wild, and he was the first.
I think Reggie White too. I mean, Reggie White had 20 sacks in a 12-game season.
Yeah, he was an end though. He was defensive end. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
I mean, but so is Aaron Donald. He plays both.
He's a D tackle. He's always on the inside. They could put him on the outside. Yeah, he's a true D tackle.
I feel like he's been on the outside a lot more recently until they got like Vaughn and Leonard Floyd. I feel like they moved.
Do they play a 3-4? Do they play a 3-4? I think they do.
Yeah.
They play a 3-4. So he's going to be more on the outside because he's going to be next to the linebacker. But that's, but no, I would say Aaron Donald, like, we can never say that I don't think we have the qualification to say he's better because we didn't watch him. And this is what sucks about sports is we got to like go back and be like, it's kind of like reliant on, like, my stepdad's a Giants fan, so I can ask him and be like, hey, is this guy better than Lawrence Taylor? And like, Lawrence Taylor is talked about in NFL circles like Michael Jordan is talked about in basketball circles. Like, when you utter the words Lawrence Taylor, like, people like are taken back and being like, no, you don't understand what this guy was like. And it's like, and he did it in like a 7-year span of like just completely dominating. Bill Parcells, the most intricate guy on the defensive side of the football possible, literally was just like, you don't have a position. Just go do what you want to do. Like, what? Like, that's wild. And I know Aaron Donald would get that same treatment, but I think every era has its GOAT. And I think that Aaron Donald is ours. JJ Watt should have been, but he had the injuries. Aaron Donald is ours. I still
put JJ Watt up there. I mean, JJ Watt I feel like it's because we were a little bit younger during that time where he was truly dominant. But JJ and he played on the outside more. Aaron Donald is an interior lineman. But JJ Watt was phenomenal also. A lot of people forget that.
Oh yeah. He's catching touchdowns too.
Yeah, and great on and off the field. Remember when he raised like $30+ million after Hurricane Harvey?
That was insane.
Like a week.
Honestly, it's one of his career highligh's. Yeah. That's one
I think that probably is his career.
The only man to win Walter Payton Man of the Year before the season started. Honestly.
There's people that don't hold that in as high regard when it comes to Hall of Fame and stuff like that, but it definitely should be.
They're broadcasting it, they're showcasing it like what it's meant to be nowadays, especially after that NFL honors. Like, it's more important than the MVP at this point. And a lot of people don't realize that because you just, debate sports, you're debating MVPs, you're not talking about off the field stuff, which, I mean, valid, but
like,
I think it means more to the players. I personally think Walter Payton Man of the Year means more to the players than MVP does.
That is about it. I have one more thing. I didn't put it on the outline. I just want to go through it real quick. Huge shout out to Eric Weddle. We've mentioned him a few times, obviously joining the team, going through the playoffs, making it to the Super Bowl, played very well, led the team in tackles in one of their games.
He tore his pec. In
Yeah.
the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Rough. But we were talking about Hall of Fame. We've talked about amazing careers and stuff like that. And one that I think gets overlooked a little bit is Eric Weddle. So one question for you gentlemen, is Eric Weddle a Hall of Famer? 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, all 2010s team, and now a Super Bowl champion.
Feels like a Roy Butler situation to me if I've I've ever
You
seen
think
it.
he'll get passed up just because the name doesn't quite hold as much weight?
I feel like, yeah, because I'm not. You tell me Eric Weddle, I'm like, I don't
He's
really.
He's an all-decade team player, though.
I don't think of Eric Weddle as one of like the best of all time, though. Yeah, I don't. Even during his time, I wouldn't consider Eric Weddle to be a top 3 safety in the league during the 2010s. I wouldn't.
His time with the Chargers is where he played his best football, which was up
Hall of Fame beard. Hall of Fame beard. Hall of Famer. You know what?
You should get in
Hall of Famer.
I think I can kind of see where you're coming from. And I think that he will get in eventually. I think that he might get kind of overlooked just because of his name, like you said. Yep. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I wish I was watching football around the time that he was in his prime. I just started watching football when he was like coming to the end of his prime. But yeah, I do think Eric Weddle was in the conversations for top 3 safeties in the league, like at that time. I think he definitely was. He, from what I'm seeing here, he's got to be. He's not a first ballot. I don't know how much weight this Super Bowl holds on his Hall of Fame ballot because he kind of just, jumped on at the end here, which, I mean, he won it. He was playing in it. He won it. He contributed. He definitely did. But yeah, if you're looking at his career, all-decade team, he's been was it first team All-Pro? Yeah. So he's been to multiple time twice. First team All-Pro. He has the Pro Bowls. He's got the All-Pros.
1, 2, 3 second team All-Pros as well.
Yeah. So he got the All-Pros. He's got the all-decade team. Now he's got the Super Bowl. I think he is a Hall of Famer at this point. Now, definitely not first ballot. But again, I think it will be a Leroy Butler situation where it's kind of, a couple of years on the ballot, then he gets his time.
I will say I don't think he gets passed up for long if he gets passed up first ballot. Yes. I think there's going to be some flashier names on the ballot that'll make it in over him his first year that he's eligible. But I think that a year or two after that, I think that he definitely gets in. I mean, even 2011, he led the league in interceptions. So it's not like he's nothing to shake a stick at. Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up. I saw those stats. I saw his accolades and stuff, and I was like, damn, Eric Weddle was really that guy.
Do you think in his time in the league, was he better than Earl Thomas? I don't think so.
No.
Was he better than Cam Chancellor? I don't think so. Was he better than
different positions?
I mean, just safeties in general. Was he better than Harrison Smith? I don't think so.
I feel like you're getting into a different era there.
I don't think so. I think that's 2010s.
That's fair. That's a fair argument.
I guess we're talking Eric Weddle and at the early 2010s.
I don't even necessarily. Yeah. I don't think he was better than Cam Chancellor, and I don't even think Cam Chancellor is necessarily a Hall of Famer.
Can we start on that?
I mean, if we're talking solely
Pandora's box.
if we're talking solely off the accolades and stuff, I mean, you don't get first team All Pros for no reason.
True.
Yes. You know what I mean? And 3 second team All Pros as well. He was one of the best at his position for a span of probably 5 years based on what we're looking at here. And I feel like it's easy to forget. I even remember him going from the Chargers to the Ravens and it being talked about as a huge acquisition for them.
Yeah. Even at the end of his career. Mm-hmm. I think we didn't watch football at the proper time to be able to understand what Eric Weddle was at the top of his game. Because I feel like looking at the accolades, he should have been talked about as in the same light as an Earl Thomas, but his prime was centered around the same time that Ed Reed was in his prime and Troy Polamalu were in their prime. So of course he wasn't talked about with those guys being there. So it's interesting. And I ultimately do think that he gets in eventually.
I think so as well, but I just wanted to bring that up. It was a cool story with him and the Super Bowl and all that stuff. So I thought it was worth talking about.
Definitely.
But that is going to wrap it up for us this time, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you joining us as always. If you guys have any closing remarks or anything like that, go ahead and give them. Luke, I'll start with you.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on all of our socials. I'm Football Fan Zone. Gage is Extra Points, and Jake is Jake Maltese 3. And make sure to follow El Sped as well. That's Sped with 2 Ds.
Yes.
He means a lot to Totally Unqualified, and he was on last week's episode, as well as all of our Totally Unqualified accounts. We got TikTok, Instagram, we're popping off a little bit. Twitter, our YouTube, if you're watching on there, make sure to like and subscribe as well. And yeah, just make sure to follow us on everything.
Yeah, shout out Steven Elspad. That's weird to call him by his real
Steven.
name. Steven.
Steven.
I'm gonna make it a point to call him Steven from now on. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys haven't downloaded the Overtime app yet, please go do so. Links are in all of our bios, and we do appreciate it. We just want you to have it. We constantly do stuff with Overtime. We have pools pretty much every week. So it's a great app. It's a great community to be a part of. So we definitely hop on that train. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you guys know, just because the season's over doesn't mean Totally Unqualified is over. We're going to have plenty more content coming your way. We've got things coming up with obviously the NFL draft that we're going to be talking about. The NBA season is still in full swing. We're just getting to the All-Star break. So there's going to be plenty of stuff to talk about there. So hang in there with us. We're going to have plenty more content coming your way. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you stick with us.